When it comes to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, you more than likely have heard it all before, ranging from the praise to the criticisms it's received. All that being said, there's one aspect in particular that I want to focus on: the criticism of Peter crying too much, particularly in the first film. A lot of statements have been thrown out about this. He's a whiny crybaby, he looks like he's constipated. You get the idea. Now, people who make those arguments, they can have those opinions. But a lot of times when people make this argument, from what I can tell, they tend to focus on this moment when Peter's sitting in his bedroom by himself. The reason he's crying is because he's thinking about his Uncle Ben, who would have been there at his graduation had he not been killed by that carjacker. This is yet another jab at Tobey Maguire's portrayal of the character that I've heard a million times over. And unfortunately, since he cries in all three movies, it gives these detractors more of a reason to get on their soapbox. But do they have a point with this scene? Does he really cry one too many times? Is he really just a big, unsympathetic, whiny crybaby? I don't think so. Even at 12 years old when I first saw it, I never saw it as a problem. Even though it's only a couple of scenes, we get a really good idea of what his relationship with his Uncle Ben is like. Ben and May have been together for many years, going through their various ups and downs, and are the only parent figures that Peter's ever had in his life. Not having much money to go on, but yet they're the most selfless, responsible, and caring people that you'll ever come into contact with. And it explains why Peter's the sincere, wholesome, and kind-hearted person that he's shown to be, and why he's not like the other kids, and as a result, he gets bullied for it. In fact, it's so important for Peter's growth into adulthood, with Ben's words of power and responsibility, that he feels a deep sense of regret for scolding him before he died. Peter made the irresponsible choice to let the crook go, which resulted in him shooting Uncle Ben, stealing his car, and Peter discovering that this was the same guy that he let run past him. Then the film jumps to Peter's high school graduation, something that his Uncle Ben would have attended had he not died. Graduation from high school is a big deal for any kid. It's a big milestone in everybody's lives, and it's a very emotional moment that you would want to have someone in your family attend that and support you and encourage you, knowing that this is the next big step in your life. Emotions are running high from pride, happiness, a sense of accomplishment, along with the sense of uncertainty of what the future's going to bring your way. In Peter's situation, he's about to go into college, graduating from high school, moving into his own place with Harry, but is still reeling from the death of his Uncle Ben, the only positive father figure that he's ever had in his life.
I missed him a lot today. I can't help thinking about the last thing I said to him. He tried to tell me something important, and I threw it in his face.
How can you not sympathize with him in this situation? Is it really that inconceivable of showing emotional pain over losing someone close to you? Especially on the day of your high school graduation, knowing that they would have been there had they not died. Loss of a loved one or a close friend is a horrible and traumatic experience to go through. I don't care how tough you are or how far you're removed from it, it sticks with you for the rest of your life. I know, because I had to put my dog to sleep 5 years ago, and every once in a while I still cry over him dying. Not quite the same, but going through a breakup not that long ago, the death of a relationship, that is a huge punch to the gut. Now, I'm just guessing here, but the impression I get from some people not liking Peter crying, maybe it's just some of these people don't like seeing men cry or show a sensitive side. Well, like it or not, men have emotions. We get upset, we get sad, we get mad, we cry over various things. There's nothing wrong with the guy expressing his feelings or emotions, because that's the best way to deal with grief. Feeling your emotions and talking about them with someone that you can trust. Honestly, in this movie, I'm totally fine with him crying in this scene. It's an important moment of character growth for Peter, because he's clearly dealing with the consequences of his selfish decision, and the regret that he feels for scolding Uncle Ben, knowing that looking back, he was only trying to help him. All of us who have experienced a loss of some kind can especially relate to this scene. And if you can't, you'd have to be a pretty cold-hearted person to not feel some kind of sympathy for Peter and resort to calling him a big crybaby. And it's Aunt May's encouraging words to Peter that makes him remember Uncle Ben's words of wisdom about great power and responsibility. And it also helps him remember what he said about power and responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility. Remember that, Pete. Remember that.
And it's in that moment in particular that he decides to use his powers for the good of others and to help those that can't be helped by anybody else other than him. Spider-Man. Thank you guys for listening to my thoughts on this topic. Hopefully I didn't come across as really mean and insufferable, as I'm sure some people will probably accuse me of doing so, because talking about Spider-Man movies in general it gets pretty heated, and I don't really think it's necessary. It almost reminds me of the Star Wars fandom syndrome, which I don't really want to get into on that. In any case, whatever your thoughts are on this topic, just comment below and tell me what they are, and I'll see you guys in the next one.